I have copies so you can keep them and you can share them with your grandchildren too. She's quite unique. Rootsy Tootsie Tonner, Diddle Diddle Wanner, I love a kick a yonner, 'cause you are a schmonner. Unrun a Tootsie, Diddle Diddle Dootsie, I love a kick a yootsie, because you are a schmootsy. Now, lots of people tried to copy it. I remember the story about Buck's sister Barbara trying to do this, and somebody said, you got it all wrong, and she said, well, you know, I don't know Hebrew. So, anyway, the rabbi said we're here to celebrate her life, and I'd just like to do a brief review. You know, she was born in Philadelphia to Meyer and Dora Ginsburg, and went to school in Philadelphia, and then she went down to Richmond to meet a cousin who was married to a guy who had a cousin named Freddie Sherman. And they met and they went out for about a week, and my father, who was, I guess, a good 8 years older, proposed to her. And before she could answer yes or no, he got on the phone and started calling everybody up saying, we're getting married. And she was like, hama. And she went through with it. And I guess it was what they call hashgacha pratis, divine intervention. You know, maybe we had to be born or something. I don't know what we did exactly, but we had to be born. So they got married. And the word came and went. She came to Atlantic City, joined my father with his Freddie Steaks, and then Uncle David, my father, opened up my brother's place, and she worked there for about 30 years, and then the restaurant thankfully closed, and she moved on to a new part of her life where she did a number of different things, working at Sears, the IBEW, International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers. And then she moved to a place called Colton Manor, where she was the group salesperson, and she met a lot of people coming to Atlantic City, and she met a lot of the hoteliers in the town, and she became somewhat known. And but around the age of 62, someone else bought the hotel, and this guy had his own person, and he wanted her out. And I was in New York with my wife fixing up this brownstone ruin in Brooklyn. And I thought, oh my God, I'm even in a position to help them. My father doesn't have much, you know, what's going to happen? And she said what she always said, it'll work out. And I guess there was an angel somewhere and whispered in the ears of Alan Greenman, if you call her, she will come. So I called her up and said, hey, Edith, why don't you come over here? I got an office, I got a phone, you know, I'll pay you so much a room. And she said, okay. So she wrote her 1,500 contacts, and she went over there and started, you know, doing business. And one day she had a group that Alan couldn't take care of, and she said, hey Alan, if you don't have any room in the hotel, is it okay if I put him someplace else? He said, oh, sure, Edith, I just want right of first refusal. And that's when Freddie's friendly tours really began. Pretty soon, you know, they moved out into their office in the back of the house, and she conducted business there for about 20 years, with my help, some with Jill's help, and then finally, mercifully, she stopped at about age 86. You all know she died at 92. She didn't really come into her own until she was in her 60s, and she started making money. She said, you know, a little bit of change here, a little bit of change there, it all adds up. And she knew how to make it, but the funny thing was that she never really learned how to spend it. And she didn't really know what to do with it. Then she gave it to my brother-in-law, who invested it. And it seemed to work out okay. My father died a few years ago. He was standing there, and my mom didn't want to go to any kind of nursing home or any place like that. She wanted to stay in her home. And we came down from Central Jersey, my wife and I, and to take care of her, and we fixed the house, and didn't realize what we were getting into. She had to move out of the house, so she stayed with Michael for 6 months in his penthouse suite on Atlantic Avenue, thankfully with Marcia and with the, what do you call it, the elevator. So she went out every day to the Senior Citizen Center. She loved to socialize. So she had two real desires at the end of her life. One was, of course, to stay in her house until the end, which she did. And the other thing was she wanted to make it to my daughter's wedding, which was just last week. Anna just got married. She wanted to make it. I really wanted her to make it, and it was not such an easy thing because she was a very feisty person, as you all know, and she didn't want to use the walker in the house. And I had the biggest nightmare I ever had was I came down the steps one morning. Anna's husband was there helping us fix up some things. I come down the stairs. I'm looking in the room for my mother. She's not there. She's not in the bathroom, and she's not in the kitchen. I turned to Chris and I said, "Where is she? I mean, where am I? People don't usually come in and steal old ladies. Where is she?" And he looks outside and he says, "She's sitting across the street on her walker, waiting for the bus to come and get her. It's 6:45. The bus comes at 9 o'clock. She had a little trouble with her eyes, so she couldn't tell what time it was. So I finally had to lay down the rules to her, and I said, "Listen, I'm putting a lot of effort into this so you can make it to the wedding. And I want you to make it to the wedding. After the wedding, if you want to go play in traffic, that's your business. But until that time, I want you to be a little bit more careful." And she finally agreed. So I'd just like to thank a few people from Holy Redeemer, that especially Diana Alberto and Vanita Bond. Vanita came and bathed her in her walk-in jacuzzi, and she used to sit there and sing. It was really wonderful. She's a wonderful person, and it's a bittersweet moment, but really it's more sweet than bitter, I have to tell you. Thank you.
I'd like to invite, if there's anybody who would like to share a story or a memory, if you'd like to do so, you're welcome to now.
I think I'll say something if nobody wants.
Well, please do.
So I was talking to somebody about how, you know, she was a very feisty lady, but also, you know, like a lady of many words, but also few words. Sometimes she would say something in like just a couple sentences, and she would get her point across very clearly and with a lot of humor. So I remember coming to visit when I was in college, and of course, you know, we were all bad habits and stuff in college, so I was smoking cigarettes back then. And I came in the house, and of course you could smell it all over me, because, you know, everybody can, even though you don't think they can. And she's like, she says to me, "Are you still smoking those cigarettes?" And I said, "Yes." And she said, "You know they're bad for you, right?" And I said, "Yeah, I do." She said, "I love you, and I wish you wouldn't do that." That's all I'm going to say. I was like, kind of stunned. I was like, that's the best no smoking lecture I've had, you know, because she like didn't really lay into me about it, and she didn't go on and on. She just was like, you know it's bad for you. I love you, therefore, like, I want you to be taking care of yourself and be okay. So I wish you wouldn't do that, you know. And then that's it, you know. And then she'd like, you know, smack me on the bottom, and like off she would go. And when I think back, you know, there were so many different moments like that, where she would say like a little something or a little something there with some humor, sometimes even a serious topic. And, you know, it's very interesting to have her for a grandmother in that sense, because she would say, I mean, things that nobody's grandparents say. I won't share some of those stories, you know, but when I would tell people, like, I had this interesting conversation, my grandmother would never say something like that. I'm like, well, you know, she's a character and she's not shy. So that's one of my funny stories.
Thank you.
Actually, the one thing that really stands out in my mind was in her 80s, I went to her one day and said, you know, I've had you and Dad for so long, I don't know how you can handle it when you guys go. And her response was, "Listen, sonny boy, one thing's for certain, you're not getting out of this life alive." And to me, that's sort of the essence of Mom, right to the point. That's popped into my head while Rachel was talking.
Very good.
I think I had the pleasure of meeting Edith and being involved in her life for a period of time I can't remember now, but I can say that her children love her dearly, and her grandchildren love her dearly, her family loved her dearly, and it's because of the woman that she was. Just a special, brilliant woman who cared so much about so many people and had so much love from the morning till the night. And no matter what it was or how I felt, she would always grab my cheek and say, "Oh, I love you," "Oh, you look so pretty," or "You did a good job," and full of encouragement that it was a way to go through the day. And it was the same at the end of the day. At the end of the day, that love was there, and the only way that love could be there is that was her, and that's how so many people feel so much love for her. It was just wonderful.
Okay. I don't really have, I think the rabbi's going to say everything I wanted to say because I talked to Zeroff yesterday. But what I wanted you all to know, because I'm looking around at all these faces, every single one of you were so important to her. And she spoke highly of every single one of you. It's unbelievable, Veronica. It's unbelievable to see you all here. I can't thank you all enough for coming and helping us through all this, and just all the nice wishes. We all have appreciated so much, and I know she would too. And I thank you all for the relationships that you developed with her. It meant a lot to her. It meant a lot to all of us, and that's all I wanted to say. Thanks. I don't know if I'd get a chance to later.
So there's a teaching that says, who is honored? One who honors, loves, and cares for other human beings. The deepest wisdom a person can attain is to know that his or her destiny is to aid and to serve. You know, we stood here just a couple of years ago to remember and to mourn Freddie's passing. And we are now here again to mourn and to remember Edith, because they were quite a pair, and they created for all of you a wonderful life. I looked up the eulogy that I gave then, and I had said something about Fred's generosity and indomitable spirit. I'm going to amend that just a little bit, because Edith was also quite her own powerhouse. She was the one to render fair judgment. She was the one who was truthful to the point of being blunt. You know, she would let you know if she thought you should lose a few pounds. And it wasn't out of malice, it was out of love. It was also out of a strong sense of integrity and truthfulness. And for that, she would never steer any of you wrong. She was a voracious reader, which led to her great intelligence. She had this wonderful sense of humor, and she could roll with the punches. She loved to socialize with others and to be with others. And while working the restaurants, her love and passion seemed to be the organizing of those businesses and making them run smoothly and well and successfully, so that in their later lives, in Fred and Edith's later lives, they could relax and take it easy, doing the things they wanted to do. It wasn't that she didn't know how to spend. It was that she knew what she wanted to do in her life with her life. And that's the most important piece. Someone said yesterday she was quite the fashionista. Now, she wasn't the tallest person in the world, and so she would buy these dresses, these beautiful dresses, and she would take the bottom of the dresses and she would cut off the bottom, and she would fashion for herself a hat. It was some of the most incredible and beautiful things around. And in the stories that I heard yesterday and a little bit that I've heard today, Edith truly worked hard to make a great life for herself and for her family. She took advantage of that which she created and earned. She was there for advice and for help, and she was your champion during difficult times. She not only took an interest But she worked hard at learning about the things she didn't know about, whether it be a suicide squeeze play or anything else. Arthur mentioned she actively went to the senior center, and she was part of the Silver Sneaks Club at the JCC, where she would regularly exercise. Although apparently silver sneaks were not the only thing she used to wear at the JCC. Apparently there's these red high-top sneakers, Converse, we shouldn't talk about, right? Because she wore those, but not much else.
Mary, where are you? Yeah, is that true, right, Mary? Prancing around the locker room?
JCC stays.
Thank God. But most of all, she was fun and loving and caring of all of you. She was blessed with 3 children, but in reality she had many more children, because she adopted her son-in-law, and her daughters-in-law, and her fiancés, and significant others also became her children.
Freddie.
And Freddie.
Her Italian son.
Her Italian son. And and she loved them, but she would kibitz with them as well. She never would let up. And apparently they never let up on her either. And so in that loving relationship, all of you cared for her, and she cared for you. Now they said to me yesterday, she wasn't so into children when she was younger. Although she did sing these incredible songs, as Arthur shared, to the grandchildren. But it wasn't until the great-grandchildren that she actually held them. And I think that's because she mellowed a little bit in her life. And she realized what was so very important to her and to all of you. And so, I guess what I could say and share with all of you today as prayers is that all of you, the grandchildren, and the great-grandchildren, and the great-grandchild-to-be, sing the Psalms. Remember the honesty, and the integrity, and the fairness, and the love, and cherish them. Cherish all of those memories, because she will be with you throughout your lives. And you will hear a little voice in the back of your head who will tell you and give you that advice. The advice you want and the advice you need. And in remembering her, that will always be there. She did make it to Anna and Chris's wedding. How wonderful. How wonderful. And she was on her A game. She partied all day and all night. And those are the memories that will stay with you always. It is said that it is meritorious to pass away on Shabbat. It is a good thing. But really, I think as she looked at this new Jewish year, she saw the deeds of her book of life, and she decided that she had accomplished all that she needed to accomplish, because she set each of you on a good path for life. You will remember her teachings and her example. You will remember her fairness and her integrity. You will remember her hats and her songs. You will remember that she never judged a book by its cover, because she had read it, because she had to read the entire book and see the whole book before deciding whether she liked it or not. You will remember her love of life and her love of all of you. Her book of life was determined, and it is through her that each of you will become better people by remembering what she meant to you in life. And now, with just memories, those memories will continue to help you grow and learn and to be better human beings. And that, at the end of the day, is exactly what she wants each of you to do, to be better human beings, to help continue the work of healing this world. May her memory be a blessing always. We say together, Amen. Amen. Today we have 2 mitzvot. The first mitzvah we have begun, sharing stories and thoughts and memories. The other mitzvah is the mitzvah of burial. It is a mitzvah of the highest level, because it's not something we can ever do for ourselves, but only something that we can do for another. So I'm going to invite first the immediate family, and then everyone else to place shovelfuls of dirt into the grave. thus performing this mitzvah of burial.
You don't want to speak? You don't want to say anything? Huh? He said anybody wants to speak. Yeah. Yeah, okay.